for tall people. Hi, you guys. Glad you're all here today. Thank you, Katie, and thank you, everybody, for being here. I mean, this is a big deal, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
This was quite a surprise to me. Let's get this adjusted a little bit. When I found out 4th of July this started. Can you believe it? It's not even been like 3 weeks, and here we are. So on the 4th of July, Inga Abel started her Facebook site, and now we have almost 1,600 people on that site. You guys are a portion of that, and probably many of you are also not on Facebook, and you've heard about this. Maybe some of you are here just looking for information. You want to know more about this facility. You want to know about the people who are for it, the people who are against it, and you want to make a reasonable choice as to where you stand on it. We all know that dealing with the addiction problem is scary. To many of us, it's unknown. To some of us, it's a deeply heartfelt known. Myself, I have 25 years sobriety, and I thank God every day for that. Thank you, Lord. And I'm telling you, from my perspective, that's what it takes. It takes the power of God to get a person off of this stuff. There are so many people out there we see that are roaming. Maybe some of them want to get sober and can't. Maybe some of them are just fine the way that they are and they don't want to get sober. Either way, they become a burden to our society, and we have to deal with it somehow. Giving them treatment is super helpful. I went through treatment myself, and it was an imperative part of my recovery too. But the difference is that I wanted it. So I don't think it's a silver bullet. I mean, there's nothing that's a silver bullet when it comes to addiction. There's a certain time and a certain place and a certain moment in your life, and you're ready for it, and all of the stars align, and it happens. And there's things that can be done that are helpful, but you can't say that this certain thing will make it happen or that certain thing will make it happen. So there's so many unknowns involved in recovery. It's almost alchemy. Our goal, Save Our Sequim, is let me read our mission statements for you, is to oppose just flat out the regional scale, 300 to 400 person caseload, medically assisted treatment center proposed to go into Central Sequim, period. We aren't talking about relocating it, we're talking about flat out opposition to its existence, period. We believe that comprehensive treatment for opioids is needed, but it should be kept at a scale suitable for and local to where it's needed, period. If we need a treatment center in Sequim, we should serve Sequim people. If we need a treatment center in Port Angeles, it would be there to serve Port Angeles people. If you need one in Stanwood, Washington, it's for Stanwood, etc., on down the line. We do not have the capacity in Sequim to take on the problems of 300 to 400 people who do not live here and who bring problems to our community that we're not equipped to deal with. So that's our position on this. So our goal is to halt the construction of this oversized, inappropriately located facility. Sequim should not be targeted just because of its location, right? Between Port Angeles and Port Townsend at the top of the peninsula, at some central location that some person in a dark room somewhere looked at a map and stuck their finger right in our eye. That's not appropriate. That's not a good reason to choose Sequim. It's not a convenient location for us. It might be convenient for someone else, but it's not convenient for us. We contend there's many reasons to pause and reconsider this plan, and geography is only one of them. I have a list of at least 30 good reasons, but I'm not going to put you through all that today. We're just going to go through 5 or 6 of them. So lack of public involvement in the decision problem. Who knew this was going on? This has been in the works for nearly 4 years. Did you know that?
No.
Actually, maybe more than 4 years. But despite the statements that the city council knew nothing about it, it come to my attention just recently through sort of clandestine means. We know people. And they've told me they've got documentation dating back at least 4 years, which coincidentally happens to be the same time we did our periodic updates for the Growth Management Act and changed the zoning in that area. I wonder if there's any coincidence with that. They were coordinating with the 2 major hospitals and our legislature too. Somebody's been turning in grant requests at the legislative level, but the city knows nothing about it. I don't know about that. The grants were issued, the players were all on board, but the citizens knew nothing. So inadequate consideration has been given to any alternatives that could fill this need. SAMHSA, which is the Mental Health Association and Substance Abuse Mental Health Association. I am not good with acronyms. Anyways, if you go to their provider finder, which is a map, you click on it, Washington State, and it will look up all the providers within a geographic area. I punched in 20 miles from Port Angeles and 20 miles from Port Townsend to try to get across the whole peninsula, down the coast on both sides, Jefferson County. I eliminated everybody that was in Kitsap County, and I came up with a list of 45 providers that are authorized to do this kind of treatment at 25 separate locations. There's capacity out there, there's resources out there. Have we considered bolstering these ones in place? These would be right-sized facilities geared towards helping the communities where they lie and the communities where they represent. Actually, in Port Angeles, they have to advertise because they have capacity available still, so they're advertising for more patients to be in their clinics, and they're opening another new one this summer, along with their needle exchange, and I'm also told they're considering safe injection zones. So we're going to probably have to support Port Angeles in these efforts as well. I guess somebody doesn't like that. All right. So if the available facilities, if the local facilities have available slots and are even advertising for clients, where will the 300 to 400 new clients come from? So we get mixed messages on this. The tribe says they're only going to come from Jefferson and Clallam counties. Now, if you watch the documentary Seattle is Dying, they state clearly on that documentary that Seattle is actively sending their homeless and drug-addicted people out of the area. They're overwhelmed in Seattle. Do we want that here? No. I think not. But wherever Washington State funding is available, if there's capacity, we won't be able to say no. You see how that works? If they give us the money, we're compelled to take these people. So not a good thing. Well, it was given in the form of grants. So people.
Can't you refuse the grant?
We're going to explore many of those options. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Some of our options. So this is a problem. They have failed to define the reach of the clinic. So this is another issue. They didn't tell us. I mean, they tell us that the tribe is going to pick up people on buses within these 2 counties, but that's only their contribution to this. They're not saying we're not going to allow people to come in via Greyhound, Pony Express, whatever, to our area. And it's a free country. Sorry, it's a free country, so you can travel. You don't have to show your papers to go around in the U.S. They could even come from out of state, for crying out loud. But, you know, I mean, we want to be careful not to be fear-mongering here. I mean, I'm just saying, we have to look at the possibilities and try to bolster our community against the impacts. So, that's actually my next item, is failure to consider local impacts. If we have an influx of extra people who need services, this is going to put a pressure on our nonprofits. They'll have an increase in clients. There'll be an increase in pressure on police, EMT, and other services. There will be environmental impacts. You know, I was reading an article the other day about how methadone in the sewer, it goes into the water systems and all of that, eventually metabolizes into a carcinogenic product. Isn't that special? Neighborhood and business impacts decreased property values. I was reading a study about that this morning, and I'm not a math person, but it was pretty compelling. Between 8% around regular treatment facilities and up to 17% decrease in your property values around methadone-based facilities. I'm not sure that we can take a hit like that in our nest eggs. But the last one is particularly interesting to me, that it's impossible to control or mitigate uncooperative clients. The tribe tells us they're going to put them on the bus and bring them in, put them on the bus and take them home, okay? Well, what if they just decide they want to stay and have lunch on us, right? Okay, so how can you control that? They say they'll kick them out of the program. Well, if they're leaving AWOL to go have lunch, they're out of the program anyway, because they're probably going to have a martini with that, and one martini leads to another. You give a mouse a cookie, you know how that goes. And our community has no statutory authority to deal with the homeless. This is a big problem. We've had some conversations with the city council and with the actual police officers in our area. Their authority really has no bite. So, you know, if somebody's laying on the street there in a sad situation, they can't ask them to leave. All they can do is ask them if they need any help and would they like some services, and maybe if they want to come with me, we'll take you somewhere else. But they can't, you know, pick them up and put them in jail unless they're breaking the law or creating a hazard for something. So there's some problems with that. We can't stop them from panhandling. Our state prohibits these things and our city follows suit. Now there's other states that have more robust laws. Why can't we consider what they're doing? Ashland, Oregon, for example, has what they call expulsion zones. Now they have that really famous Shakespeare festival every year, just kind of like us. We have a very famous lavender festival every year. And Ashland cannot afford to have a homeless problem defiling their city. So they've established expulsion zones where the police can pick up these people and move them out. It's kind of like a curfew. They will not allow them within the core of the city. So, I mean, that's one idea. Arizona, they don't allow panhandling. They're posted signs publicly, and they have a public awareness campaign to prevent that kind of behavior. They encourage people to give, instead of to the panhandlers, they encourage them to give to local charities who will then distribute the money that's given with good intent to people to actually help them and prevent that money from being used for bad intent. So, anyway, I forgot to turn my phone off, I guess. So we need to support our police, so in order that they will be empowered to protect us. Whether this thing goes through or not, the police should still be empowered to do more than they're allowed to do right now. And and finally, speaking of protecting us, where are our city leaders on this? They have already decided and are siding with the principles of this project against the interests of the citizens and visitors to Sequim. It's like they've already made up their mind, and we weren't even in the equation. I mean, it's not like the tribe is putting in a wellness center. Oh, wait a second. They are. It looks like it's a yoga camp for addicts or something. Sorry. Just saying. I mean, talk about wordsmithing on that. I think that's a little inappropriate to call it that. Let's call it what it is. It's a regional methadone clinic that will serve up to 400 people in a revolving door that will be continuously kept full. They will not allow a single seat in that clinic to remain empty. Port Angeles is already advertising for seats at their clinics that they have in place right now. What do you think is going to happen here? Something like that is impossible to mitigate. I don't care what they say. Oh, the tribe's going to pay for this or that, or the city's not going to allow this or that. Once you open that door, there's no turning back. So I'm just saying, now's the time to pull together as a team. We have tables out there. We're going to talk about that a little more, but we have volunteer teams that have been absolutely fantastic so far in putting this together. And it's really only been just about 3 weeks that we've been standing against this. So I just got to say, everybody's done such a great job. And, you know, I'm going to get off the stage and turn it over to Wendy now, and she is our facts lady.